Welcome, investors, to my Passive Investor Masterclass. I wanted to create this platform because I get a lot of investors who are asking some of the same questions. And on top of that, a lot of you all are meeting me for the first time. So I'll go through some of the questions that I get asked. I'll go through my development process. I'll go through my mindset, how I look at deals, how I analyze deals, how my investors are paid back. If you can invest with me, if you can invest in the company, if I accept IRA funds, those type of things. So I'll get to all of that, and all of these questions that you see on this first page is some of the things that I get asked a lot. These are some of the reoccurring questions that I get. And I just want to create this platform. For one, you can learn more about me, who I am, where I come from, and you can learn about the deals that I've done in the past, the deals that I'm working on now, and the pipeline that I have coming down in the future. So, without further ado, we'll get into it. And all of these questions will be answered as I go through the presentation. If you look at my background, this is a video rendering of a current development that we're working on now. It's a 42 unit luxury micro home unit, luxury micro home community in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And you can see some of the aesthetics there. You got floating stairs, you got iron railing, bifold doors, standing seam roof, and all custom glass. Everything's custom. That I think that's what gives it its look. So, yeah, without further ado, I'll get into the passive investor masterclass. But if any of you were wondering what was that behind me, that is a video rendering of the site of the tiny homes that we're working on, and some interior shots of the units with the floor plans. All right, so. My name is Rashad Jones Jennings. I'm a retired professional basketball player. I had to retire at the age of 30 due to injury. But with that, I was pretty much prepared for my transition because I knew my body was giving out. So me thinking ahead, I got my real estate license while I was still playing. So when I finally decided to hang them up, I just started going to the office. There wasn't any really lag time there, because I had already thought this out. And I also, took heed to some of the speakers that poured into us at the NBA workshops. Lawrence Thunderberg, he played for the Sacramento Kings. He was one of the speakers at the workshop. And he said one thing that really stuck out to me. He said, every day you step on the court, you're one day closer to retirement. And for some reason, that stuck in my mind. And, there's a lot more days ahead of you. Even after you retire, it's still a lot of life to live. And, so you got to be prepared. So that's why I work a lot with athletes, helping them with that transition, and also having them invest in the deals and creating that second line of defense, because it's a difference between active income and passive income. When I was playing ball, my checks, they looked great. I was actively playing basketball, but then it came a point in time where I couldn't play anymore. They weren't sending any contracts. The fans weren't screaming my name, and no one was asking for autographs. It was over. The phone stops ringing. It's really traumatic. It's a real traumatic transition. And if you're not prepared for it, you're gonna have some dark days. And my transition was pretty smooth. Like I said, I prepared myself, but I think it's one thing that as an athlete that everybody goes through, and it's the fact that what I missed the most was the camaraderie. I miss being in the locker room. I miss being around a team. I miss being in the airport with my team. I miss traveling with my team. When we get to another city, hey, let's go walk and get something to eat. I missed all those things. And then once I was dropped back, I call it civilization. Once I was dropped back into civilization, it was like, man, what do I do now? Because I had my license, but that just getting your real estate license only teach you how not to go to jail. Now I had to learn how to market. I had to learn how to. I was door knock. I was doing everything. I was door knocking. I was writing handwritten mailers. I was going to every event I can go to. I was just doing everything my broker at the time told me to do, and because I was just hungry. Door knocking in 90-degree weather with a button up on, and you're 6'8", and you're 270 pounds at the time. I mean, it was a lot, knocking on someone's house, asking them if they want to list their house unsolicited, Looking back, man, it was some crazy things, but I was just doing what I was told. Hey, this is how you get deals. This is how you get off-market deals. So I think that just goes to the mindset. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even at that point in time. And speaking of that too, before we move forward, I didn't do my first real estate deal for 6 months. Like I got my license, I would go in the office and I would just sit there. I'm like, man, what do we do now? Like, I saw one guy writing handwritten mailers. So I'm like, hey, how you do that? They said, okay, you order the mailers from here, you get the stamps from here, and you just mail them out. You wait for the phone to ring. So okay, I went to go got some stamps. I went to go got some postcards made. And I'm writing handwritten mailers. And so 6 months later, I got my first deal. That just like I said, like it took me 6 months to do a deal. What if I would have quit in between that time and said, hey, this isn't for me? Because what a lot of people don't know is I was turning down coaching jobs. I was turning down coaching jobs and didn't have an income. I was living off what I had already had, but it wasn't a lot. Like it wasn't a lot. I was just pinching off of it every month. Okay, the bills coming. I hadn't done a deal. Here's the money for the bills. Month two come. The bills come. Here's the money for the bills. Month three come. Here. Month four, month five, month six. And I'm like, man, I need to get something done. I need to do something here. So I finally got my first deal done. And I said that to say this, you never know who you could be if you quit. So if I would have quit, I wouldn't have an $860 million development pipeline. I wouldn't be doing starting and completing these multi-million dollar projects. And I definitely won't be talking to investors as an expert wanting you to invest in my deals. So you got to have some resiliency. You got to believe in yourself. And that's why I'm standing here today in front of you because we have a lot of deals that we need to service. And I wanted to create this passive investor masterclass so you can know more about me, who I am, how I look at things, and my philosophy, my vision, and the principles that I live by. I'm a team player and I always do what's best for the greater good versus what's best for one individual. That's just embedded in me. So let's get into it. So we got an $860 million development pipeline. One of the developments that I'm working on right now is a 42 unit tiny home community. We have a 4 unit townhome project as well. Um, I also have a 4 home small development that's right in front of the tiny home community. I only pay $18,000 for that land. And I was in the office a couple of days ago reading through the new ordinance in the city of Chattanooga. And I basically can get 4 houses on it. You only have to have 3,000 square foot lots. So it's a 0.27, it's a 0.27 lot. So some quick math on that. If you multiply 0.27 by 43,000, that's how much square feet is in an acre. You can really do the math on that and see how many units you can get. So I came up with 4 small houses. I could have done 8 townhomes, but I want to keep the aesthetic the same, especially it being in front of one of my major developments. The 33 unit townhome project, we just did demo on that project. I just put the video up on YouTube. We demoed an old car wash as well as a house. We're assembling those two properties into one. So we have less than an acre of commercial property where we'll build 33 townhomes. And we're right on time with that new ordinance that the city of Chattanooga just passed for higher density because now I can erase the lot lines and basically put more townhomes on that land. Also too, I'm doing a master plan community. That's what 800 million of the 860 million comes in at. I'm doing 60 million of development by myself right now with my team. And I partnered with two developers out of Nashville to do an $800 million development um, to create 800 units as well as 45,000 square feet of commercial space. All right, so let's get into my investment philosophy. Why I do what I do, how I look at deals. So my investment philosophy is I buy undervalued land and rezone it. So I take a piece of land, I get it for a discount, and then I increase the value even more by taking it through the rezoning process. In development, zoning is how can I say this? Zoning is the money maker in development. Like I've taken a property that was zoned for one house and I paid $3,700 for that property. I rezoned it into four. I was able to get four townhomes. Each one of those townhomes appraised for 308,000. So starting with a $3,700 investment, when I bought some land when we didn't even know what we was doing back in 2016, bought that land, just sat on it, and once we started learning the game, got rezoned, got it approved for four homes. Now we're putting a $1.2 million development on it, and we don't even have any partners on that deal because we was able to refinance out of the land because the land had value to start our construction, and then we're on a draw schedule. So that's just some of the things that I do. I wouldn't even do a deal unless I can build it one and a half times and break even. So we don't do marginal deals. I'm too good at finding discounted deals to do a marginal deal. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I'm just gonna get straight to the point just so we could save time. I don't want you on some long drawn out webinar. I want to get to the nitty gritty. I want you to know who I am, what I'm about, what my principles are, what my investment philosophy is, how we can make money together, and how we can create a long lasting relationship. I don't do transactional relationships. I'm here for the long haul. I'm not a fly by night, here today, gone tomorrow. We'll be doing this for the next 20, 30 years for sure. And I always say this, and like I said, I know some of you are meeting me for the first time. I would rather not raise capital. I would rather wake up and only have to worry about the projects. Hey, worrying about each line item, ordering materials, managing my site contractors, finding deals. I want to operate in my greatness. But that's why I'm creating this platform. So when people come through, instead of me having, 15 calls a day and we're talking about the same thing, I want to put it all right here. So I will direct everybody to the Passive Investor Masterclass. So when it's time to schedule a call, we can really get down to the nitty gritty and talk about the important things, which is the deal, the returns, and most importantly, when you'll get your money back plus interest. So another thing about my investment philosophy, I have to be excited about the worst case scenario. Though I stress test the heck out of my deals. And you can make a deal look like what you want to make it look like. It's called pencil whipping a deal. But if you're not real with yourself, you're gonna be surprised, but you're gonna be on the wrong end of a surprise. I'd rather be surprised with the good. If I stress test a deal and I'm still excited about the deal, we're moving forward. It's a green light. And that's what I'm saying here on the last one. Never force a deal. The numbers do lie. I know a lot of people say numbers don't lie. Numbers do lie. You can make the numbers look like what you want to make them look like. But I'm more of a realist. If it's not a deal, it won't make it off the back of a napkin. It will never be presented to anyone. I only do killer deals, and like I said, I have the hoods to prove it. I have the underwriting videos to prove it, and because in this day and age, you do have to show and prove. When you first meet somebody, the first thing they do is Google you. So, and I take heed to that because we have over 700 plus videos on YouTube. I've been documenting my process since 2019. So you can, if you want to go down a rabbit hole on my YouTube channel, and we'll get to that in a later slide, you will see the progression from when I was doing flips, from when I was doing single house bills, from when I was doing single house bills, from from when I was a realtor up until now doing development. So you'll get to see all of that. All right, this right here is me working on one of my previous developments in Atlanta. I did 29 tiny homes and, sold out within 55 days without having to put it on the MLS. And, this one is closed and sold, and all of my investors have been paid out, paid in full, and then we're on to bigger and better things. Let's talk about our mission and vision. We're on a mission to revitalize communities, transforming neglected properties and turning them into vibrant spaces that bring pride to the neighborhoods that we serve. By taking what were once eyesores and beautifying them, we're not just improving landscapes, we're improving lives. But it's bigger than just buildings. We're here to inspire the next generation, showing them showing them that there's more paths to success than what they see around them. Through our work, we're creating opportunities and leading by example, proving that with the vision, effort, and heart, it's possible to build a better future, not just for ourselves, but for our communities. This is significant, right? Because I'll take you a quick story. I grew up in the projects, public housing. And, when I was young, I didn't know a real estate developer existed. You never saw them. That's why I'm not big on low income housing. I am a big advocate for mixed income housing because 10, 11, 12-year old Rashad, I needed to see a doctor. I needed to see a lawyer. I needed to see the blue collar worker. I needed to see I just needed to see different things other than everybody being in survival mode. Because when I walked out of my house, it was a war zone. Everybody's in survival mode, everybody's angry, everybody's mad. And when you're in survival mode, you don't dream. So how do you dream when you're worried about the bills? How do you dream when you're worried about how you're gonna eat? How you gonna dream when you worry about the lights? I remember coming home from school one time and my mom told me and my four sisters, "Hey, iron your clothes for the rest of the week. The lights are gonna be off till Friday." That is the type of survival mode that we're in. So there's no way I could ever dream about being anything because I was so frustrated just trying to survive the day, trying to survive the week, trying to survive the month. And this is as a kid. So that embedded something in me that I always wanted more. My whole thing was to get my mom out of the projects. The Valentina Estates deal is actually named after my mother. Like I want to pay homage to her. It's named after my mother. So this is not just another project. This is a passion project, and I'm on a mission. And I'm on a mission, and I have a vision to bring this to fruition to the city of Chattanooga. Let's talk about SWOT analysis. On every deal I do a SWOT analysis. That's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and recognizing them. So let's start with strengths. I'm looking at the location. I'm looking at the acquisition price versus the exit price. I'm looking at the terrain. Is it flat, like this picture here? Is it hilly? Because depending on if it's flat or if it's hilly, I need to factor that in my site work costs because the harder the terrain, the more the site work is going to cost. Site work can cost up to millions of dollars. Like the tiny home development right now, the site work is 1.5 million. You know, comparable prices. What are the houses selling for around here? Can I sell it? Am I outpricing the area? Why would I build an $800,000 house when the comps are at 300,000? So the prices have to be comparable. Weaknesses. Let's move on to weaknesses. What don't I like about the property? Every time I look at a deal, try to find a way not to do a deal. I pick out everything that I don't like about the deal, and if it's not enough things that I dislike about the deal, and the underwriting makes sense, we're moving forward with it. The next thing I look at is the demographic. What is the average median income of this area? Can they afford what I'm building? Not only are the comps right, but can the people afford what I'm building here? So that's why I like to keep the prices under 300,000 when I'm doing these developments. Feasibility, does it make sense? You know, from what I'm putting in it, for what it costs to build, for what I can sell it for, and the time that it takes to complete. And once again, can I sell these units? Is the deal feasible? Does it even make sense? Like I said, if the deal doesn't make sense and it don't check a lot of boxes that I have to check off, it won't even make it off the back of the napkin. And lastly, is security. When I did that development in Atlanta, a lot of people told me not to do it on this street. That's one of the worst streets on the south side of Atlanta. And we did it anyway. But with that being said, I did have to hire 24-hour security. So we was paying $6,000 a week just to secure the property. But the deal was just so good, it still worked out. But that was a cost that needs to be factored in. If you're in a bad area, you're gonna have to factor in security. Security could be cameras. We ended up hiring off-duty police officers just to walk the property all night from seven, I think it was from six in the evening to 6 in the morning. So they did 24-hour shifts and we was paying $6,000 a week. But we didn't have to worry about our materials getting stolen. We didn't have to worry about people breaking in, kids coming in breaking glass. These are custom windows, so that would have been an expensive thing if they would have did that. So you got, I always got the philosophy you're gonna pay either way. You're gonna pay on the front end or you're gonna pay on the back end. I'd rather pay on the front end. That's why I get third party inspectors. Even though the city does an inspection and the home buyer does an inspection, I get a third party inspector to cover my own tail because a lot of times, and I've seen this with my own eyes, the city inspector, they're on salary or they're on 9 to 5. They may or may not like their job. They may just be passing through. So they may just go in and pass everything just to, they don't care. They're on a job. So and I've trust me, I've seen this live and in person without saying names. People they do not care. They just passing the time by waiting to get a check from the city. So I bring in my own third party inspector because I'm on the hook for this for the next 10 years. So we want to make sure we're putting out a great product. And also too, if I'm gonna be spending this money, I want to make sure that my contractors are doing this right. We're not spending 2 years on a project to do a bad job. So it's worth me to pay a third party inspector $150 to come out and inspect everything and have them walk the site with my general contractor and bring me back a report. So that's a system that I set up that insulates me even further. So we're building a good product. Now let's move on to opportunities. What zoning fits in this property? Right here, you're looking at the zoning notice. We went from R1 to RTZ. R1, like I said, we could get one house on it. RTZ, now I can get 4 townhomes on it. I increased the value from 3,700 to 1.2 million. I do this all the time. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I want to create this platform because I'm really looking for one, I'm looking for investors. I want my investors to know, like, and trust me. And I also created this platform so we don't have to go over some of the same things that I go over with every investor. I want to answer them here. We do this one time. So by the time you schedule a call, we can get down to the nitty gritty and talk about the deal. So, like I said, I'm looking for a capital partner and I'm also looking for investors. If I can bring in a capital partner that can fund the bulk of these deals, and I can just wake up and find deals and rezone them. I mean, we'll be printing money basically. But let's get back to opportunities. I can get passionate and get off task sometimes. So the zoning, what zoning fits the property? Like I said, we went from R1 to RTZ. What's the highest and best use? I think the highest and best use for this was we can get 4 townhomes. That's 4 units. They each appraised for 308,000. So my pro forma, and this what I'm talking about when I talk about stress testing deals. My pro forma was at 260,000 a unit, and the deal still worked. So at $260,000 a unit, me and my partner, we were still going to walk away with $300,000 apiece. Now let me back up, right? So my partner, who's my cousin, he wanted to build a rent. He doesn't sell anything. He has about 30 properties in Memphis, another 20 in St. Louis. I think it's outside of St. Louis, Grenada, Illinois, or something like that. But he's a buy and hold investor. I am a build and sell investor. So we had to come to a meeting of the minds. And one of the meeting of the minds is, okay, I kept pressing him to sell it because we were strapped for cash. We got all this equity and property, but equity does you no good if you can't utilize it. I learned that when things got tight in 2022 and 2023. Liquidity beats all. So, and I told him, I said, man, I want to sell, I want to sell, I want to sell. And he said, you know what? I'll meet you halfway. We could sell these units, but the money that we get from these units, we're gonna reinvest it together. And I said, you got it. Let's do it. That's a deal. Um, but um, but yeah, so that's just a little story about this property. Another thing, opportunities, assemblages. I call myself the assemblage king. And like not that I'm saying this on social media. I mean, this is just what I think in my head because every time I buy a property, I try to buy up properties around there and create a bigger play. So let's take this property for example. There's a lot behind here. I reached out to the guy, tried to get it. because instead of doing four townhomes, what's better than four townhomes? 12. Of course, 12 townhomes is better. But I don't think I would have got that land for 3,700. This is just one of the steal of a deal. And like I said, they move a little slower in Chattanooga. That's why the bulk of our projects are up there. Recent solds is another thing that I look for. Are deals moving in this area? New developments. Is it more development going on in this area? And then we look at threats. What are the restrictions on the property? Believe it or not, there are restrictions and zonings. You can't do this here, you can't do that there, and development overlays. I've had a deal where I was basically gifted 14 acres in Hampton, Georgia, and I couldn't do nothing with the property. The lady who owned the property inherited it from her grandmother. And when I say gifted, that basically means I didn't have to put any money up front. We did work out a deal on the back end where she could run the HOA and she would get one of the units. We were doing tiny cabins. But I learned about development overlays. Come to find out, the owner of Chick-fil-A lived on that street, and they had like it was you had to go through the regular zoning plus the development overlay, and then on top of that, they had a restriction that on that street, each house had to be on at least an acre of land. So, that development overlay, changed plans dramatically. Another threat is a flood zone. Now, you can still build in a flood zone. You just can't build where the flood zone is, if that makes sense. So, I got a piece of property where part of the property is in a floodplain and some of it isn't. So, what I'm doing is I'm building high density apartment buildings in the middle of that property where we're not in the flood zone. So, I'll be able to basically get um the density as if I was building on let me back up. So basically by that part being in a floodplain, it doesn't hurt me because I'm just gonna turn that part into a park. It's not saying you can't use the land, you just can't build a structure. So that particular piece of property, if it's 30% in the floodplain, hey, that's where the park is going. Because when you talk about 100, 200 year flood zone, floodplain, I mean, what, it's gonna flood once in 100 years? I mean, whenever that happens, we'll be ready for it, but we'll enjoy it the other 99. Another thing that I look at, is the soil contaminated? You got to get a phase one on the soil, make sure the soil is good, because you can't build on bad soil. Also, the history of the property. Anytime I look at a property, I go to the tax records, I see who the owner is, I see how many times it's changed hands. I look at the sale history, I look at if it has a mortgage on it, and if it does, how many mortgages it has on it. So I do a real deep dive with the SWOT analysis on every time I look at a deal. If you look at this picture right here, this is me actually doing a SWOT analysis at one of my charrettes. And if you don't know what a charrette is basically where you invite the community, the city leaders, and politicians to come and decide what they want to see on your development. Most developers don't do that because I don't have to do that. The reason why I'm doing that because I want to work with the community and I want to revitalize the community. I'm not just gonna just drop it on your head, say, here, this is what's going on, deal with it. That's not the type of developer that I am because, like I said, one, I'm here to inspire. Two, I'm here to lead by example. And three, I want to build what the people want in their neighborhoods. And like I'm from the neighborhood, so um I just seen how it's been done, with gentrification and everything. So this is a way that one I can inspire somebody to say, hey, man, I could be like that. I could be a developer, or I could be a plumber, or I could be a framer, and like. And the crazy part about this, I went to a vocational high school, but I took one vocational class just because it was easy. I took auto mechanic, auto body, pulling dents out of cars. But I used to always have to walk to through the vocational hall to get to my auto mechanic class. And like I said, I only took that not because I wanted to be a mechanic, because the word got out that the teacher was easy. Like this is just the truth. And I'm looking like, man, why y'all doing this blue collar stuff? Like it was taboo. Nobody told me that you could be $1 million plumber. You could be $1 million developer. You could be $1 million framer. You could be $1 million electrician. Like these things were laughed about. We was misinformed. Once I started paying these people and seeing how much they got paid, I was like, man, like we really didn't know like these were options. Like, because I pay these people and they get paid real good. So like I said, this picture right here is me doing a charrette, going over SWOT analysis with this city council member here. And this is one of the civil engineers. So we had about 65 people show up. And I mean, it was great. It was interactive. We had the youth, we had the older people, we had the politicians, we had the fire chiefs, we had the police chiefs come out. We had the bus station come out, the Carter bus. That's the name of the bus in Chattanooga because there's no bus line going down through that area, and we're bringing 1,800 units. Like, man, we need better infrastructure. We need to have the bus line be able to come down here. So those are all the things that we've been working on. And like I said, I do a SWOT analysis on every property that I look at.
So I've been invested with Rashad since 2018. We've worked on a bunch of deals, some in Tennessee, some in Georgia. Overall, the experience has been nothing short of wonderful. Made some good returns. The things I like about investing with him is very open and transparent and very good on the updates. So it's always important for me to kind of see what's going on and kind of feel in touch with with my investments and stuff. I would definitely recommend him to anybody to invest with, especially if you're looking for kind of a
So
passive
yes, this is
investment
this right here,
where somebody
investor
else does all the
relations.
legwork
As you
for
see
you.
to the
Then
left, this is
this
one of
is
my
definitely a good
investors.
fit for you.
He was my first actual investor. He's been investing with me since 2018, and he's still a current investor. And we'll try to get this video to play here soon. But let's talk about investor relations. The investor portal. Um, I use the investor portal because it's seamless. It's an easy way for investors to go create a profile, figure out which deal they want to invest in. You can actually fund your deal with 4 clicks. So it's real simple, easy to use. You go in, you fill out your documents. Once you sign, I'll countersign. Once I countersign, you'll automatically be sent the wiring instructions. Once we receive the wire, I'll also hit a button inside the portal where you'll get an email confirmation that the wires have been received. And now we're off to the races, and you'll start getting these updates, the monthly investor updates. And if you just so happen to be an equity investor, we'll do our video Zoom calls the last Thursday of every month at 4 p.m. So also site visits. I get a lot of people asking about site visits. We have 4 times where people can come out and walk the site. Groundbreaking ceremony once we finish phase 1 and get the rows in of the site work, and also once we finish phase 2 of the construction, as well as the grand opening event. Now, those are the 4 times that I have most people come out. But I will say, if you're in town and you want to come by the project, there's no way I'm gonna stop you. So if I'm not there, I have you walking with my site manager. If I'm in town, we can walk it together. More than likely, I'll be in town. Just give me a little runway, so we can plan for it. But I love walking the project with investors, so that won't be a problem at all. Monthly updates. We have investor reports that are going to be interactive. You'll see video. I like to over communicate. We document our process. Like I said, we got over 700 videos on YouTube from when we started up until now. And we also have live from the project. So once we get cameras up on the site, the type of cameras we use, we can record, right? So what we do is we'll just hit record while the contractors are working, and we'll let that run for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you'll just get to see your investment at work. There's no music, there's no talking. It's just straight, it's just straight construction work. So you'll be like we're hitting you from all different angles, showing you, hey, this is your money at work. This is what we're doing. And I want to create a oasis for investors. I never want anyone to worry what's going on with their money. Your money is going into the ground. Your money is going into these buildings. your money is going to pay these contractors. So we're super transparent. We have nothing to hide, and we operate with integrity. And like I said, we also have YouTube documentation that you'll see on the next slide. We just went over some of this stuff, monthly investor reports. We have over 700 videos. If you are, hip to YouTube, go follow me at Shadzilla. I'm pretty sure you will go down a rabbit hole and see my mindset, how I think, how I look at deals, some of the deals that I've done in the past. I got some case studies on there. I mean, overall, just everything that we're about and what we're doing. We have 100% investor rate. I've returned every dollar that I've ever received from investors since I started raising capital in 2018. And for me, I think that's big because, like I said, I started out with flips, single houses, started wholesaling, and then I got into development. But we're batting 1,000 on that, so you don't have to worry about your investment. And like I said, we do great deals. We don't do marginal deals. There's enough good deals out here to find, so we can be insulated and make sure that our investors get our return. And for one, and for two, that we don't work for free for 2 years because the way my payback structure is set up, I get paid last. So let's go over payback structure real quick. So we'll get into market analysis, but right now let's go back into payback structure. So typically the institutional investor, which is my hard money lender or the bank, they'll get paid back as houses sell. Usually it's a 50-50, it's a step up. So let's talk about my deal structure and how everyone's paid back. So my hard money lender or the bank, whoever I'm using at the time, it'll be a step up. First it'll be 70-30, then it'll be 60-40. Sell a couple more houses, then it'd be 50-50. So they'll get paid as we go along. And then the last, X amount of houses will be all profit. Once the institutional bank or lender is paid off, then we attack the debt. The debt, all the debt investors are paid off. That's second in line. Third in line is my equity investors. So that 20% goes to the equity investors. And then I get paid last. So it's in my best interest to make sure every line item is accounted for. It's in my best interest not to fluff on the ARV. ARV meaning after repair value. Um, if anything, I make the ARV less just so I'm stress testing my deals. So like I said, if I'm surprised, like I said, on that townhome development, my pro forma was at 260,000 a unit, and it just appraised for 308,000 a unit. So that's what I'm talking about. I want to be surprised for the good, not be surprised for the bad, because I didn't use the right judgment. I want this deal so bad that I did a bad deal. No, never that. No, never, ever. The deal has to make sense at worst case scenario, and we'll get into that on another slide. Let's talk about market analysis. We're not going to spend a lot of time on here, but Chattanooga is the market where we're doing a lot of the developments. I'm from the city of Chattanooga, and there's three things that I look for when I go into any market, whether it's Chattanooga, Atlanta, Tampa, or Jacksonville. Um, Job growth, population growth, and housing need. Are there jobs? Unemployment rate in Chattanooga is 3.4%, which is lower than the national average. That's a 2.2% increase since 2023. The next thing is population growth. Are people leaving Chattanooga or are people coming to Chattanooga or that particular market? And we got 1.63% population increase since 2023. That means people are moving to Chattanooga. Also, the housing need. Now, don't take my word for it. If you Google Chattanooga mayor 5,000 units, you're gonna see this article. We're short 5,000 units. Like this is not coming from me. I follow everything that the mayor does, and because development, just as much as it's real estate, it's political. A lot of the decisions that's being made are being made in these city council meetings. These are $1 million decisions being made. These are multi-million-dollar decisions being made in these zoning meetings. So it's in my best interest as a developer to know what's going on. That's why I'm in the office late night reading a new ordinance to because now when I look at a property, the old rules don't apply. We got a whole new ordinance. So now I got to take time out to read the new ordinance. So when I look at a piece of property, it's not I'm not playing by the old rules. I'm playing by the new rules. And the new rules are in my favor because they allow higher density. So housing need, we're 5,000 units short, and we're bringing 2,000 units over the next 10 years. Development project timeline. This picture right here is me on site of one of my tiny home developments. The first day of construction, you see me in front of the machine. I'm just happy because it was a long road. I was in pre-development for a year and a half. So it was a relief for me. It was a relief for my investors to really see some trees being moved. And that's another reason why I want to do this platform, to inform my investors, because a lot of people, they don't understand real estate development just as much that you see when stuff start coming out of the ground. It's been just as much work put in behind the scenes, going to city council meetings, pre-application meetings, city planner meetings. Those are two different things. Zoning meetings. Lord forbid you got to get don't say Lord forbid, zoning meetings, variance meetings, getting permits, getting through development overlays if there's any restrictions, talking to the neighbors, going door to door, building a relationship with the neighbors. Because when I first had my city council meeting for these tiny homes, they came down in droves by the dozens. I was surprised. I'm like, man, I was like, I'm a good guy. Like they had a line lining up to go to the podium to talk to the city council and let them know why they didn't want my property there. But once I got up and talked to them, they loved it and they was advocates for it. They just didn't have enough information. So another thing that I live by is not making the same mistake twice. I'm pretty sure I've ran across some investors who wanted to invest, but they just didn't have enough information on me. So I want to create this platform. Hey, look, 30, 45 minutes, passive investor masterclass. I'm telling you how I look at deals. I'm telling you what you're going to get, why you're going to get it, when you're going to get it, how you're going to get it. And then I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it. So, and once you watch this, once we get on the call, we already got a type of rapport and, we can move forward and, start, doing business. So project timeline. Um, Development phase, I break it down to four phases. P1, phase one is acquisition. That's when we acquire the property. Phase two is going through the entitlements, getting it rezoned, getting the variance, and getting the permits. Phase three, this is when we're rounding third base. That's when we get the land disturbance permit and start being able to remove the trees. And we get approval, like I said, we get approval to start land clearing. Phase four, start of construction. A lot of people, like I said, when we start construction, people like, oh yeah, finally. But a lot of people don't know. Once we start construction, we almost done. Like we're at the finish line basically. Now we just got to perform. We've raised the money. We've got the approvals. We've acquired the property. We've increased the value of the property, rezoning it, getting entitlements. By the time you start seeing construction come out the ground, I mean we headed home, and yeah, we headed home. This right here is a comparison chart that I did, when I first started Valentina Estates. If you see here, my Class A investors, I was paying them 54% total return. And if I break that down, my Class A are my 80/20 investors, 80% to the GP, 20% to the LP, and they also had a 10% preferred return. So if I break that down, the 20% was worth around 44%, and that 10% preferred return made it a 54% total return. I initially sought out to raise 1.5 million. Each share of $50,000 minimum was worth one share. So I had some investors who invested 200,000. They got four shares. I had some investors invest 100,000. They got two shares, and I had some investors invest 50,000. They got one share. And when it was all broken down, it equated to 54% total return. So I only raised 950,000 and I closed class A because we start hitting milestones. I know this is a great return for investors, but this isn't sustainable. So the moment we hit a milestone, I took class A off the table, then we downgraded and start paying 25%. And that's how I do my deals. As we move along in the project and start taking risk out the deal, like when we start pre-sales, it'll go from 25 down to 18% because now the risk is out the deal. Like now the homes are spoken for. Like if we have 42 contracts, there's now we just got to perform. So that's kind of how I do my deals. And just to kind of explain this comparison chart, it's broken down. If you were to invest 50,000 at 54%, that'll be the return. 100,000 at 54%, that'll be the return. And 250,000 at 54%, that will be the return. And then we put it against everything else that you can invest in the market. And what we found was the preferred return beat everything out. That's even without the equity. So this was really a no-brainer. And that's, like I said, we didn't even cap out the full 30 shares. We only sold 19 shares and we closed Class A. But the only people that can come back in Class A are Class A investors currently. So that's kind of how I did this comparison chart. And you can fact check all of these. I got this all off of Google, so you can fact check and everything. So yeah, it's real. This right here, these are the three units, three luxury micro units that I'm doing with the micro tiny home community. This house right here is the silver plan, 520 square feet. It has a loft. This right here is the gold plan, 630 square feet. It has one bedroom on the main level and a loft upstairs. This has also one bedroom. And if you look at the design, like this isn't your regular run 'em up house. This is standing seam roof, which is three times as much as a shingle roof. We have a brick veneer here, and we have custom windows on the side. We have custom windows in the front, and on the back, there's a deck also with custom windows. We got tongue and groove here on the outside, and these are bifold doors. The reason why I put bifold doors is so even though you're in 630 square feet, you can open up the bifold doors and bring the outside in and use your porch as more living space. So all of this has been thought out. We go to the platinum unit, the same thing. This one is a two bedroom, two bath. No, I'm sorry. Two bedroom, one and a half bath. Like I said, with bifold doors, the terrace is 105 square feet. And we also have off the master, you have a deck off the master in the back, porch area in the back. So these are the tiny home units. And as you can see, we got a silver, gold, platinum. This community actually has a periodic table theme. So not only are the units gold, silver, platinum, the street that I named is also called Palladium Loop, which is up there with platinum. It says precious metal, palladium. And also the tagline for the development is living your element. So all of this plays on the periodic table, and even the interior design choices are named after elements as well. I don't know if I'm gonna get this video to play, but this right here is a previous development that I've completed, sold out within 50 days, 55 days actually, without putting it on the MLS. These are all closed, and all of my investors have been paid back. All right, so yeah, this video is not playing, but as you can see, this is something I can send you via email. It's no problem.